The Cartoon History of the Universe. Volume 5. Brains and Bronze. Yeah, whatever. Let's get started. So, in our world of the Cartoon History of the Universe, back then we left the Jews stranded in Babylon, and now we'll be going back to the Greeks and looking at how they're doing and their origins. So let's talk about that in Brains and Bronze. And as all you know, bronze are little orange metal things that you can use to create metals and are pretty strong. Alright, so how do we know all of this? Okay, so one of the greatest of these islands, of the Greek islands, Crete, that Aegean civilization was born, and the Cretan language was gone, so it's long gone, so we really can't make any history with them. But we do have a lot of things that they left behind. A goddess, no bra, a dolphin mural, and pottery painted with swirls, and an octopus. And so we can look at all of these things and see all the evidence. Now, the evidence of a periodic earthquakes can be shown in a drawing, a dancer, a dance. We'll leave all the interpretation to the experts. So, the experts really are technically the symbologists of history. And everybody has to need some experts because not everybody can be great at something. Especially this art and symbology, if symbology does exist. The Greeks are one of the best people who are very good at being mysterious. So how do we put this all onto the right track? Let's talk about the Iliad and the curses with a little non-apology. I'm not sorry at all. Alright, so you might find out that right now the book and my video is giving very vague dates. It doesn't even give any dates yet, because we don't know anything at all. I mean, about 1200 BC, civilization was burning, and yeah, that's about the only date. That's not even accurate enough to be considered as one of the greatest historical facts, as much as it should be, even though we really need history, and that's why we're learning all of this. And so now into the non-apology. Now, myths are a great part of Greek history, such as the evidence of literacy, the Iliad and the Odyssey. And these are all the myths, and how everyone came to be are the myths. Let me tell you about one. There was this man named Helen, who was the descendant of all Greeks, who was born from a guy named Deucalion, who tossed a rock over his shoulder. When it splattered open, Helen was born right there where the rocks broke. Well, that's an origin myth. They're always weird, like Romulus and Remus of Rome. But, well, everyone is needing some myths right now. So, with that pitiful excuse that people making up are actually the best ways to know history, let's hear the Greeks' own version of the collapse of Mycenae. It's not history, but it's not bad. Okay, let's talk about the curses. Now, curses are a big thing here in the Greeks' history. A lot of curses, to be honest. One guy was so angry that he cursed the other guy he was cursing at children to be boiled up. He boiled them up and then served them to his own father, who happened to throw up on them. Okay, another one. And someone else, the person whose children was cooked up and boiled, and may your own son kill you, Theban. And this is what happened. His son was on a way to a place to get to talk to a Sphinx, and the Sphinx. And along the way, he met his father, bumped into him, and every stranger you bumped into was literally an enemy. Killed his own father without realizing it, and then, well, went to the Sphinx. Okay, so here is the riddle. What walks on 4 legs, 3 legs, 2 legs, and 3 legs? Obviously not a mutant cockroach. And it's man. Because during infancy, you walk you crawl with all your 4 legs. In like childhood and adulthood and teenagehood and adulthood, you walk on 2 legs. And then at old age, you have on a cane in old age. So it's pretty much that. That's why man is the answer to this riddle. And now let's talk about the Trojan War. Now the Trojan War is what the Iliad literally describes, while the Odyssey describes about a man named Odysseus coming back from the Trojan War. And to be honest, in the Odysseus, some parts sound like what Odysseus told his wife, and the other sounds a bit like his drinking mates, stories from his drinking mates. Oh yeah, that was a bit serious, to be honest. That's basically the Odyssey. But what about the Trojan War before the Odyssey? That's a very different story. For the Trojan War, basically you might know the whole wooden horse story. Basically, someone snuck in Troy with a wooden horse by tricking them, and when everyone was asleep, they came out and then went to Troy and unlocked the gate, found Helen, and then put them back. Well, that's not entirely true, to be honest. For the Egyptians' version of the Trojan War, it was basically when Paris, the guy who kidnapped Helen, was captured by the Egyptians. The Egyptians let Paris go to Troy, but made Helen wait for her husband, which she had to wait for 10 years because her husband sought Paris at her, and then literally besieged Troy for almost no reason. And where do you think we get our alphabet? Well, our alphabet comes from the Greeks too. Alpha is the first letter of the Greek alphabet. Beta is the second letter of the Greek alphabet. Hence the name alphabet. Originally alpha beta. And where we get alphabet is alphabet soup. And what about metals? Back then, bronze with copper and tin were all rare, and only the rich could afford them. But then everyone considered iron, and everyone knew the iron was worthless. It was too soft to work with, so it was too soft for weapons. It always bent or got dented, and so everyone used it for firing tools. And then when they realized they could make an alloy with it called steel to make a stronger substance, not a weaker one, they were using iron crazily. Now, okay, let's talk about the disadvantages of iron. This guy. Okay, let me show you. Okay, this liar Ulysses literally put iron as their currency. But this coins and currency thing was pretty much useless. It was too bulky to steal, pointless to counterfeit, and it was also very hard to spend. If you didn't spend it too long, then it turned to rust. And so this guy was really unpopular. He got thrown out. And now a bit of magic. Magic has been one of the subjects of every fantasy book ever. Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, Percy Jackson, based on the Greek myths. Yeah, that's about it. That's where everyone seriously gets their stories of magic. It all started from Greece. Spells, maybe not wands, but spells and all that mythology, demigods, all came from Greek mythology. Yes, Greek mythology said there were such things as demigods. And there are a lot of demigods in Greek mythology, to be honest. And now philosophers rejected that idea. They rejected God entirely. Some people even rejected God long enough to realize that they don't need God's will to know what the height of forbidden information to the outside world of the Great Pyramid, like that. And that's about how philosophers got useful. When Greece was conquered, it was pretty much useful for the philosophers because they got access to Eastern learning then. And now, I've skipped a lot of the porn and sex parts because pretty much that is one of the unconceivable ways about to get this video not be banned. I mean, this is a history book, but this is a history story, but there's so much sex and porn in this, I'm pretty sure if I upload it, then it will probably most likely be banned. The porn and sex are always in this, but don't blame me or Larry for putting them into this book and video. Blame the Greeks. Well, what's your favorite part of the Greek history? And this is all practically a summary. My favorite part was the curses, the Trojan War, and the riddle, and the self-destructing of the Sphinx. Okay, how do you... Yeah. Anyway, that's the volume 5 of the history of the universe. So, if you guys did learn anything new from Brains and Bronze of the cartoon history of the universe, then please tell me in the comments below. Also, I highly recommend buying the cartoon history of the universe, this book, from volumes 1 to 7. And we are finally going to finish the volumes 6 and 7 eventually, and then we'll have to move on to the cartoon history of the universe 2. So, see you in volume 6. See ya.